All my family on both sides were fishermen, and the idea of doing anything else when I left school didn't even come into my head. The best times of it, you'd be up in the wheelhouse, you had two people on watch and they'd talk to you, and the knowledge they had was something unbelievable. Some of the things some of those men had done, you couldn't wish for a better education, really.
I just think there was so much freedom when we were children. There was that absolute sense of freedom and safety in the outdoors. A huge row of beach huts all the way along the beach. That's where we spent our whole summer. The place to go was the beach. It was full of wonder for children. And I think that's something I don't feel our children have so much today.
Before I left school, you was never short of a summer job. Cafes, hotels, they were 10 a penny. My mum helped my gran in the boarding house, doing general duties really. The memory I have is sitting in my gran's back garden and shelling peas.
I ended up working in the dryers, day work, and also working 2 shifts on the ports loading ships. If you was discharging, it was grab work. Every bag had to be manhandled and put in slings. You had to take the clay off with your hand. Sometimes the whole cake would come off. Power shut down, all silting up now because most of the clay now is going by road or rail.
Going to the beach with a prawning net and catching prawns. There was usually an old baked bean tin around. We would get some seawater, make a little fire, put the can on that, drop the prawns in, and couldn't be fresher. My brother and I could roam. We'd throw stones down mine shafts and listen to them rattling their way down. I think it was where I became interested in nature. The memories are very clear.
The Coastal Community Matters project is a way of looking deeper into the lives of people within a community and how a place dictates, affects, supports, changes their life, be it they were fishermen or pilots, sailors, people who ran a fish shop, or people who had stories to tell about living in this place and having a life affected by the sea. The beating heart of a town are its people. To know them better means you'll know the town better and you're better informed about what it could be and where it's going and what we should keep. And so you get those gorgeous stories of childhoods that are forgotten, things that might not be written down on official documentation, things that aren't recorded, lives, feeling and emotion that you can really get a sense of how life used to be. I mean, that's not recorded anywhere on a document, is it?
Apart from being away at sea, I've lived here all my life. And I look, I've been all over the world and seen many things, and this view can change by the minute. I love it.
It gets into your system. Once you're a sailor, you're always a sailor, really. I've got salt water in my veins, not blood, I think. That's what people say.
In the backyard of my parents' house, there is what was known as the shrimping yard. There is a small alley where the horse and cart would go down, and this is even before the days where they started boiled shrimp on the boat, but they were brought as live shrimp and boiled in this yard, and that's still there. That's what I was brought up in that little old house. Yeah.
Sometimes having a question in your head ready to ask next isn't always the ideal thing to do, because when you're doing this interview, I want to be listening, really listening. But if they tell me something amazing or interesting that I've never heard of before, I want to be able to switch, forget that question and go down a different alleyway. And that's my favourite part of doing these interviews, because you never know what you're going to get. And there's something special, I think, about listening to a local person's voice telling you a tale. It could be very personal to that individual, quite emotional stories about an attachment to a place or a person. For me, it's an absolute privilege to sit there and that person trust me to go away and find the little gems, or the little gold dust I call it, that I think members of the general public are going to enjoy listening to.
I really did start to examine what it was that I did appreciate about being part of Sunderland Point, being part of Morecambe Bay. And what a privilege to have somebody to ask you those questions that enable you to revisit memories that I hadn't really thought about in many years. And I feel valued. It makes your part of the story relevant. And some of these stories get lost before they can be captured. And I think it will make people listen to each other a little bit more, perhaps.
You learn not to jump in on the silence, but to just sit in that silence for a while. And quite often, what happens then is that somebody kind of drops a layer deeper in their reflection because of the silence, but knowing that you are with them in that silence.
I mean, it's an interesting thing when you reflect on your own life, isn't it? It's powerful stuff, and it makes me treasure time, and it makes me want to be careful with time and use time well.
I was actually born here in this bungalow. My grandfather had it built. He was harbour master at Pearl Harbour. He wanted to be able to see the ships when they came in. My childhood really was spent going down to the harbour when he had a ship coming in, and I was allowed to go out into the bay, climb up the ladder of the ship, and as the pilot brought the ship in, I was allowed to come in. So yeah, very, very happy days, really. And I still get a buzz if there's one ship or one boat that I see out there. I go, oh, there's a boat. But now I realise that it can't get in the harbour anymore. That's Grandad. He's pulling in one of the ships. Very private man, but he gave his life to that harbour. All those dockers, all those people that worked so hard, they had a pride in what they did. They all worked together, which I think will always stay with me, you know, whether it be from the top people down to the bottom. I feel very proud, really, a bit tearful, because as I said, it was a big part of my life.
There is a sense that the community, the closeness of the community has endured and is an underpinning, and that this is a place which is resilient and a place which has been largely ignored and overlooked. So what's come through in the interviews is people's passion, people's deep understanding of place. But for everyone that I've interviewed, there is a sense that something precious will be lost if these stories are not kept.
And at one point there were 17 choirs within the clay industry competing annually. It's something that goes very deep in the community, an extraordinary sense of community which really, I think, a choir that works together for a long time develops this.
Because I was born here, and here I shall die, and this is my home.
It's been an amazing project, and so we can talk about how amazing it is here, but in 12 other places around the country there's someone else going, yeah, but it was amazing here. So there will also be a national website where you can hear all of those things. And you'll be able to go, okay, I've listened to somebody talk about how the White Bay used to jump into the thick water, the white water, the water dyed white by the clay on Par Beach How the fishermen would then put a net around those fish and haul that in on the beach. I want to hear what the fishermen are saying in the Isle of Lewis. I want to hear what the fishermen were doing in South Wales. I want to hear what the fishermen were doing in Morecambe Bay. And in that way, these very different coastal communities also get to hear about how similar they are. In some ways, very similar. When we talk about the industry and how the heavy industry has gone and changed and shifted, that's a story that's repeated all around the British coastline. The way that can hollow out a sense of community when it goes, that's something which has been repeated all around the coastline. The way that communities have used art, have used culture, have used singing as a way of re-establishing and holding on to their sense of identity, that's happened in lots of different places. But the specifics of it are beautiful and unique, and as specific and beautiful and unique as the people whose voices that you'll hear.
It's a hell of a responsibility. In fact, sometimes you can be very lonely with it. You're responsible for making a living for them and also making sure they get back in. The crew itself, you work with them, they're your mates. In fact, you spend more time with your crew than you do with your family. You're out on the boat, you all work together, you rely on everybody. There's an old expression, one arm for yourself and one arm for the boat. Sometimes when you see some of the boats going out around the end of the breakwater or out around Bury Head, if you're out there stood and see them, you think, oh, I wish I was there. And then when you see it blowing a bloody gale and the sea coming in and smashing up against the cliffs and that, and you see the boats being awash, you think, Christ, well, I'm finished with it.
So the trail going through the village, it's going to have 5 points. We start with Old Aberdyfi, then we have the natural world, then we have the river, then we have the wharf, which is the work area over there, and then the beach and beyond. So we've got everything from the story of Cantra Gwaelod, which is 2,000 years old, right up to what's going on right here and right now. I think it's going to be a beautiful experience.
I remember being in bed, absolutely terrified, because all I could hear was and then woof. Our lot were chasing the German aeroplanes who were on a bombing raid, and they were coming down the river and dropping their bombs in order to be able to get off faster. Even now, when I hear an aeroplane at night, that noise goes through my head. I can hear that of the drone of the aeroplane and then the dropping of the bombs in the river.
I think the fascinating thing about this kind of project is the fact that people can walk the history, if you like. They can go to the sites that people are talking about and actually see physically what is there and maybe imagine what they're talking about going back, whether 50, 60, whatever, 100 years. It's living history then, isn't it, as opposed to something in a book written down sort of thing.
The legacy of a project like this, I think, can't be underestimated because it's capturing a point in time with people looking back but also looking forward. So the point of doing it is to protect going forward, really. A little bit like a time capsule, only a bit prettier and not buried. So it's there for people to actually experience from day one.
As I've got older, the old saying is you get a bit wiser. I don't think it's wiser. I think you get into a state where you look at looking after a species of fish so that it becomes sustainable. We had the thornback rays in Abu Dhabi. It was just paved in them, absolutely hundreds of them. But I've probably caught 6 since the year 2000 because it was heavily overfished and there's an eco imbalance that has occurred. It's worrying because a species of fish is disappearing completely. I've got to the situation that I only catch sufficient for myself for eating. So I only take what I need at that time.
Right, so mae Auntie Gay nawr yn mynd i ddechrau, a mae'n mynd i siarad am rai o'r lluniau yma. So, os nawn ni eistedd lawr a gwrando am chydig, oce?
So off o'n i ynddi. A wedyn, da chi'n gwybod faint o blant oedd y gwmpas ar hyd fanna? Oedd na un o'r tai yma, oedd na 13 o blant. 13 o blant. Boys yn mynd neidio ar y tren y gael lift, a mae'r tren yn mynd lawr efo'r glo i'r warf. Oeddech chi'n mynd i chwarae ar y warf. Oeddech chi'n ddi-bitch pan ddosach chi hwnna. Oeddech llwch yn mynd fyny. Anyway, fe ni'n mynd i ddweud Catrin. Yeah.
This project has been absolutely fantastic, really. I think there's a great responsibility when you work with young people to enable communication amongst different generations. There's so much to be learnt, and that's about the heritage again, of understanding where we're from and what our roots actually are. There's nothing better than passing story and experience down from people that have lived and loved and worked this area to children that are here now. It's something that holds and binds people together ultimately.
That was the first road to Machynlleth.
Whoa, that's really cool.
And then it got all washed away, you see.
Were the pillars there?
Yeah, no, those were for drying the nets, the fishing nets on. And they're disappearing now. This is over 100 years ago.
Wow.
Probably about 1902. Long time, isn't it? Yeah. The session today was the 3 different groups, and it was fantastic to see some were so quiet and some were boisterous and some were wrigglers and others sat and just looked. And then you try to bring the quiet ones out, but their interest in the history of Aberdyfi and the pictures, it was phenomenal to me. I was fascinated by the need to know. It was brilliant.
It was very fun. I think they were very good storytellers. And it was quite cool to hear what they were talking about.
If I know about the place, I think I'll feel like I want to live there a bit more, because like I'll know more facts about it and it'll just make me feel a bit better.
Well, you can learn how stuff was in the old days. You can learn how their life used to be. The stories, they're quite funny, a lot of them. And yeah, I think their stories are quite nice.
People sometimes they go to Parr Beach. It's amazing when you start to look at the detail of the beach, when you start to understand all the different kinds of life that are there and why it's there. All of it's kind of new and all of it's a result of industry. So now we have one of the most biodiverse beaches in the country. We get to see those dunes get bigger in our lifetime. We get to look at the seagrass meadows getting stronger. Capturing carbon is one of the things that we need to do to control global warming. Seagrass does it better than almost anything else. And it's all out there, it's in our bay. So if ever you hear anyone who's kind of a bit down on Parr Beach, you've got a lot of information there to put them right. It's extraordinary. We should make the most of it.
I thought that we might try and see if we could make our own little sand dunes.
See how far you can make that sand go up to the seaweed. Absolutely fantastic. You've demonstrated it really well.
Plants and seeds from these other countries that then came and took root.
People coming in to visit from the community is so important to their learning, because they can actually put it into real life context, the geography and the geographical changes. It's where they live, which makes it more exciting than a standard geography lesson. It's bringing their learning to life, and I think having community links is so important.
Ding dong, ding dong, ding.
So it gives them a real understanding of their being and their importance.
Yeah.
Everybody will want to go, Grant, that's the problem.
You like that to start with. Then when you pull, bring the hand to the back, forward, and then pull again, and then you're ready for the next pull. Okay?
All on the bowling, another day is dawning. All on the bowling, the bowling. All on the bowling, if you don't know where you're sailing from.
All on the bowling, the bowling.
All. Well done. Very good.
We gave them the opportunity to pull on the rope in time to sing a sea shanty, and the kids loved that. and that helped them to engage. This is what it's like being on a ship. We had a ball, you know, it was really good fun, and it was good to see the kids when we asked them questions. They came back, you know. We learnt a lot as well, but we'd love to do it again.
It was really fun listening to something different and new. I won't forget it in a long time.
I think as far as the kids are concerned, it's live history. You know, they can associate themselves with it as you're talking to them.
Normally, when we're finding out about the past, we would have a secondary source. So it's not from back then, but it's telling. But since we had Bill, who was alive then, it was better detail. The book would be a bit different because it wouldn't be as much expressive because it doesn't know, like, it's not actually talking to you.
The heritage skills are being lost with many of the older people, and we know that younger people who live in these coastal towns all the way around the UK feel like there's not much to be proud of their towns. And so actually sharing those skills gives that sense of pride in their local area, but also it shows the older people that there are still things to be proud of too, and it's not just all rose-tinted glasses about the past. It brings together two lovely aspects of all these towns that we've been working in for a long time, and gives us a real chance to share the wonderful things that are happening and that wonderful base of knowledge that is disappearing.
And for a community like ours that has had the burden of an outward negative perception, that people growing up here grow up with that impression kind of in the air. That's the story we've been told. Now this is a chance to tell much more positive stories of place, and they will continue with those young people.